Hey y'all, so this is going to be my review of the new Epiphone Earl Scruggs model banjo that was just recently released by Gibson and Epiphone. The banjo playing community at large has been abustle with discussion about this new line of Epiphone banjos, and rightly so, because it's kind of a big deal for Gibson to re-release a line of banjos after so long, even through Epiphone. And my first banjo that I ever had that was really worth a hoot was an Epiphone MB250. It was an early 2000s model, and that was a pretty decent banjo. So I got this thing with really high hopes because Gibson has always been a forerunner in, banjo quality. So I got this with really high hopes. But I hate to spoil this review video for y'all so soon, but immediately after making this review video, I'm going to be returning this. Because somewhere, hiding behind, this nice gloss finish, the relatively figured woods in the neck, but mostly hiding behind that name right there on that truss rod cover, this banjo's got some major issues, like major issues. So let's get right to it. We'll take it apart and stuff here in a minute, but I'm gonna pick it a little bit for you and let you hear what it sounds like compared to a quality banjo. So something I'm gonna talk about real quick before we kick it off officially is I am gonna be comparing this to a gold tone instrument. So for transparency reasons, just want to let all y'all know I did used to be a luthier for Gold Tone, but I am no longer employed by Gold Tone. I'm not endorsed by Gold Tone. I have no financial or personal interest in promoting Gold Tone. I am endorsed by Ohm, but I really don't get anything out of talking up Gold Tone, and I don't get anything out of talking bad about this Epiphone. This is kind of like a buyer's beware thing from somebody who's been around a lot of banjos. So real quick, I want to also let you know that this is kind of an unfair matchup between these two banjos, because this is an OB Grandee and it's a $3,000 banjo, and this is a $1,200 banjo. So really the comparison I'm going to show you is going to be irrelevant, because these banjos are in two completely different markets. But what I am going to talk to you about after we do this is some other options that Gold Tone offers, that are going to put you in a much better instrument than this. Please, if you're a beginner or an intermediate player, you've just learned who Earl Scruggs is, don't fall for the gimmick of, ooh, it's an Earl Scruggs model, because I'm going to be honest with y'all. If Earl was able to pick one of these, he would immediately take that truss rod cover off and stick it in his pocket and hand the banjo back to whoever gave it to him, because I don't know, these are strong words, but I would imagine that if Earl knew that his name was on something of this quality level, that he would be rolling in his grave, because this thing is not it. So here we go. I'm going to play Sourwood Mountain a little bit on this, and then I'm going to play Sourwood Mountain on the Gold Tone, and then we're going to put the Gold Tone down and just concentrate on this Epiphone. So that's what this thing sounds like. And now this is the Grandee. quick, because this will have relevance later, because you can actually upgrade any gold tone instrument to have gold hardwire, any hardwire that they carry. My first cosmetic qualm with the Epiphone is the color of that gold plating. It just looks cheap. Not only is it thin, and I'll show you that here shortly, but it is cheap looking. It does not look like gold. It's too yellow, too shiny. So also, I want you to look at these two banjos. This Epiphone is thicker than a traditionally styled master tone banjo. You'd think that Gibson could build a banjo like what they designed, so that's obviously not. This is the pot assembly and resonator and everything is thicker on this Epiphone. So I'm also going to show you, just for sake of cosmetics, how a two-piece veneer back looks versus a one-piece veneer back. You know, that looks a lot better. But like I said, this banjo's a lot more expensive than this one, but it sure does sound a lot better, sure does play a lot better, and gold tone, anything they sell all runs through the same shop. So, and I mean, they all are built with the same tooling. So, you know, their OB150 model would be a direct competitor to this, and you could get them to put gold hardware on it for not too much and being a lot better of a banjo. So let's get to my critical analysis of everything that's wrong with this. Number one, the nut on the pip, this little thing right here, is way too tall, and the string is all the way cut down in there and laying on the fret, which is, you know, okay, but the frets are not level on this thing. It's got buzzes. The fourth string is all right, but this, it's got really bad buzzes. Going back to talking about that pot depth, when I was saying that this one's thinner than this one, this thing is deep this way, so that's why it sounds kind of tubby. And I really don't even know where to start with this. There's so much wrong with it. Let's start at the headstock and move our way down, shall we? So this nut, that 4-string nut, is a little bit thick for my liking. It should be thinner this way. They're not utilizing the entire fretboard here, and if you look, the strings are actually like shifted this direction and not sitting completely. There's more distance of fretboard here between the string and the binding than there is here, so that's completely shifted over to the side. The neck itself is so narrow, and the string spacing is so narrow, it kind of feels like playing a 4-string mandolin. The only neck that I can even compare this feeling to, I don't know if any of y'all have ever played any of the old Sigma banjos, or like a Fender FB 54, I think they're called, the aluminum bottle cap banjos that have the 2-piece coordinator rod in the back with the big long nut. It feels like a neck off of one of those. So the neck is not very not very good as far as feel. It's very thick and very narrow, and I can barely hit some chords without touching the other strings and deadening them, because it's so narrow. In my personal opinion, I believe that this, I don't know if they've got their collar height on the heads wrong, but this kind of sticks up a little bit too much for me. The fit on the gold tone is a lot better. That bridge, good Lord, it's got a lot of ebony on top of it. That's an awful big ebony cap for a banjo bridge. So I don't know about that. The resonator screws on this thing were seized up whenever I actually took it out and took the resonator off for the first time, so I spared y'all having to watch me struggle with a pair of pliers to get these resonator screws out. Y'all still got to watch me take them out by hand though. So I'm gonna take this resonator off and show y'all the inside of it, and then I'm gonna show y'all a bunch of stuff wrong with the pot assembly of this banjo. So the resonator's got all kinds of bad spots around the edge of it. It's beat out of pieces. It's real light. It's a really light banjo compared to, you know, a traditionally styled master tone banjo. So this is going to be hard to show y'all on this video. I'm going to have to find the perfect place. If you look between these two hooks right here, you'll see that square spot where you can see my shirt through there. But watch as I twist this around. You see that real thin piece of light that goes down through there? The neck is not even touching the pot assembly of this thing. And look at these rubberized shims that they've got jammed under the neck here. I'll try to demonstrate this. See that light coming right there, right at my finger? The neck is also not touching the pot assembly at the lower part of the heel. So the major problem that's causing that, if you look here, the tone ring, this is your counter hoop, tension hoop that the hooks go into, and then this is the counter hoop of the head, and that squeezes together down here, and that pulls the flange assembly up into this piece of wood. So if you look, this piece of wood is jutting out from that tone ring. So the only spot that the heel is actually touching this pot assembly is on that skirt of wood right there. And that is not right. That skirt should be up flush with the tone ring, or the neck should at least be cut around it. But it's got shims both spots. I believe there's a shim up at the top, but the heel cut is a wreck. So if you get one of these, at least they leave too much space between the 22nd fret and the end of the neck, because anybody who gets one of these is going to have to take it to a professional luthier and have the neck completely reset on it. If not, having the rim returned, because it, honestly, the tone ring, I don't know if it's that the skirt of the rim, the wood part here, this brown part is cut wrong, but I think that what the real issue is the tone ring. The tone ring is not directly centered. It's cocked off to the side a little bit and put on the top of the rim, to where, if you look here, you can see, let me get it to where you can see. Right here, there's the tone ring is overlapping here, but the tone ring is underlapping here. The wood comes out further than the tone ring, and then the tone ring comes out further than the wood. So this tone ring is actually shifted and put on a little off center. So that's a major repair. Another thing I noticed is if you look at these coordinator rods right here, you can see those nuts and rods are sitting off center of those washers. That means that these holes are too big in there, so this neck would be able to shift around and move. It's not put on completely straight, and they've got a lot of tolerance there left for God knows what reason. I'm not sure. You'd think that Gibson would be able to build a banjo like what they designed, but let's see what else do we have here. So, I have made, in my expert opinion, I'm not quite an expert, but in my intermediate opinion, any of y'all recognize that heel anywhere right there? That heel is really strange, that shape. It's almost, you know, it's got like a corner to it almost right here. And the only other place that I've ever seen that kind of heel is on Morgan Monroe banjos. So I have a sneaking suspicion that Gibson is not even using Epiphone's factory to build these banjos. They're probably outsourcing these to use the Morgan Monroe factory somewhere cheaper. So I don't know. Another huge thing, let me find my magnet here. So this is a magnet. A banjo that's any good would not have a steel tone ring in it. Brass is not magnetic, so that is not a brass tone ring. And I don't think that Earl Scruggs would have been caught dead with a tone ring made of steel in anything he ever played. So that's kind of a letdown on it. This little pinstripe around the rim is kind of nice. That's all right. And I can say one positive thing. I do sort of like the design of this 2-anchor armrest. It's a little gaudy, but it seems like it would be really sturdy. The engraving on that armrest, though, it's just like lightly etched with a laser versus, you know, a deeper engraved metal, you know. So that's another thing. I mean, it cosmetically, you know, I mean, it would look all right. You know, the serial number is, let me see if I can get this down here. The serial number is stamped cockeyed. And something else that I've been looking at is either that master tone block is in there crooked, or either the 20th fret is crooked, or the 21st and 22nd fret are crooked. Something's not really lining up there. If I rated this thing on a 1 to 10, it would be maybe a 2. I've played $400 banjos that sound better and play better than this thing. In theory, it was a good idea. I think that they missed on this one. This is swing and a miss. They need to take this back to the drawing board. I think they pulled the trigger a little soon on that. Another thing, it almost, with all of that janky stuff behind the heel and stuff, it appears that there is virtually no neck angle. There's no, because you know a banjo neck should tilt back just a little bit, you know, not quite that dramatically, but it should have a backwards angle of about 2.5 degrees, and this looks like it's got maybe 1/2 degree of back plane to the neck. So that's probably got a great deal to do with the playability issues that it's experiencing. So I would steer clear of this. Buyer beware. Don't fall victim and spend $1,200 just to get something with Earl Scruggs' name on it, because, like I said, Earl would not like this. Not one bit. There are better instruments out there for the money. I mean, you don't even have to go with gold tone, but I'm telling you, gold tone is starting to get it right nowadays. They're making banjos that stand right in there with Gibson, and I think the OB150 is $1,200. So you might be, you know, $300 extra dollars. You'd be $1,500 into a gold-plated OB150 banjo, and you're going to have to spend $1,000 on luthier work to have all of the things rectified with this banjo. So you're going to be $2,200 into getting this thing right, versus just getting an OB150 and making it look like a Grandee. Put some gold hardware, and then you can actually get truss rod covers made and put Earl Scruggs' name on your own banjo if you want. If you want to look cool with Earl's name on a banjo, I would just spend $6 on Amazon and buy me a truss rod cover and steer clear of this thing right here. Sorry to be a negative Nancy, but like I said, a swing and a miss. I expected a lot more from this Epiphone. It's a pity. It really is. I wanted to like it, but I reckon I'm done talking about it now, and I'm gonna stick it back in this box right here and get her back on her way to Epiphone. Anyway, y'all have a good one.